Okay, listener name. So you want to go viral on YouTube, huh? Seems like you've been doing your research. This interview with Brendan Kane, this social media expert, is a goldmine.
Yeah, he's got some pretty interesting insights. Like, he's not afraid of the algorithm at all.
Really, most people seem to be terrified of it.
Right. But Kane is like, don't fear it, understand it. He actually sees it as like a partner.
Okay, I like that. So we should be working with the algorithm, not against it.
Exactly. The key is to figure out what it wants. What's its goal?
Let me think about this. What does the algorithm actually want?
Well, ultimately, it wants to keep people on YouTube.
Right.
That's how the platform makes money.
Makes sense.
Right.
So if we're creating content that people love and keeps them watching,
Yeah,
the algorithm's going to be happy.
exactly. It's a win-win.
Okay, so that makes sense. But I think a lot of creators, like myself, get caught up in niching down, like trying to appeal to a very specific audience.
Yeah, I get that. But Kane actually challenges that idea.
Oh, really? So he's not a fan of niching down.
He calls it the generalist principle. Basically, he thinks that broadening your appeal can actually help you reach a much wider audience.
Interesting. But how do you do that without, like, losing your core message?
That's the art, right? But he gives a great example. He talks about Graham Stephan, this
Yeah.
YouTuber who teaches finance to millennials.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
Well, one of his most popular videos is titled, How I Bought a Tesla for $78 a month.
Okay, yeah, that's going to grab people's attention, even those who aren't necessarily into finance.
Right, and once they click on that video, they might end up learning some valuable financial stuff along the way.
I love that. It's like using a broader, more relatable topic as a gateway.
Exactly. And Kane says it's super effective. It's all about finding those universal human experiences or desires that can act as a bridge to your content.
Like that makes me think of Dr. Julie Smith, a clinical psychologist on TikTok.
Oh, yeah, her videos are brilliant.
I know she's amazing at using those visual metaphors to explain these complex mental health ideas.
Right. Like that one with the overflowing waste paper basket.
Oh, yeah, to represent feeling overwhelmed. That was so simple, yet so powerful.
It's relatable, even for people who aren't actively seeking mental health advice.
That's why her content goes viral. It's accessible, it's engaging,
Yeah.
it's brilliant.
It's inspiring to see how she's using creativity to reach such a wide audience.
So we've talked about understanding the algorithm and embracing this generalist principle, but where does this whole perspective shift thing come in?
Okay, so Kane believes that creating those aha moments can be super captivating for viewers.
Those moments where you, like, challenge their assumptions and help them see something in a new light.
Exactly. And it's funny, when I think about some of my own videos that have gone viral, it's often those moments that really stand out.
The ones where you offer a fresh perspective on something people might take for granted.
Yes. Like those videos where you talk about pricing.
Oh, yeah. Those tend to get a lot of attention.
Because you're challenging the status quo. You're making people think differently.
So listener name, think about your own expertise. What kind of aha moments could you offer your audience?
What unique perspective do you bring to the table?
Ooh, I like that challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm curious about something. What about those creators who are really focused on a niche market?
Like those who want to attract a very specific type of client.
Exactly. Is there a way to balance that niche focus with this idea of broader appeal?
Kane actually addresses that. He uses the example of Ryan Serhant, the luxury real estate broker.
Oh, yeah. His videos are amazing.
Right. But most of us aren't in the market for a $10 million penthouse.
True. But we're still fascinated by it.
Exactly. And even if only a tiny fraction of Serhant's viewers are potential buyers, it still translates to significant sales.
He's turned a niche market into something with mass appeal. I love it. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, but let's get tactical. What does Kane say about focusing on repeatable formats rather than chasing fleeting trends?
He gives the example of Tanner Leatherstein, the leather craftsman who's known for his Is It Worth It videos.
Those are so clever.
He deconstructs luxury handbags to see if they're actually worth the price.
And he subtly promotes his own leather goods at the same time.
Right. It's a great format, informative, entertaining, and effective.
Okay, so listener name. Could you adapt a format like that to your field?
What other successful formats could you draw inspiration from?
This is going to be so excited. So far, we've talked about understanding the algorithm, embracing the generalist principle, finding those irresistible hooks, and now focusing on repeatable formats.
We've only scratched the surface.
I can't wait to dive deeper. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come right back to this fascinating interview.
Okay, so let's get back to those tactical tips from Kane. Like, he talks a lot about visual hierarchy, especially in those first few seconds of your video.
Visual hierarchy. Yeah, I'm trying to get better at that.
It's so important, though, right? Like in the age of TikTok and Reels, you got to grab people's attention fast.
Yeah, their attention spans are like, what, 5 seconds?
Maybe even less. So visual hierarchy is all about using design to guide the viewer's eye, making sure they instantly know what your video is about.
Okay, so it's like creating a visual roadmap for your content.
Exactly. And you know what else Kane suggests? Asking clients for testimonials.
Oh yeah, testimonials, those are powerful.
Even if you can't reveal specific details, just having those positive words from clients can really boost your credibility.
I like that. And Kane seems to really emphasize experimentation,
Yeah.
right? Like not being afraid to try new things and even to fail sometimes.
He's all about analyzing those failures, though.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about celebrating the wins.
He says, don't be afraid to fail. Analyze it. Figuring out what didn't work can be just as valuable as focusing on what did.
It's like we learn more from our mistakes or something like that.
Exactly. So you can avoid making those same mistakes again. It's all part of that growth mindset Kane talks about.
Okay. So speaking of growth mindset, Kane makes this pretty bold claim. He guarantees 1 million views within 120 days for his clients.
Right. And you're probably thinking, how is that even possible?
Yeah, it sounds kind of crazy.
Well-
But he must have a system.
He does, and it's based on data. Like, he really believes in using data to drive your content strategy.
Interesting. So is it just about like looking at the numbers and making adjustments?
It's more than that. It's about understanding what those numbers mean
Right.
and then using those insights to create better content.
Okay. So it's like data-driven creativity.
Yeah, I like that. And Kane has seen it work firsthand with his clients. Like, he talks about how some of the most successful YouTube shows use those viral clips to drive views to their full-length content.
You mean like those short attention-grabbing snippets that people share on social media?
Exactly. It's like a mini viral marketing campaign for each episode.
So smart. But how do you choose the right clips?
Kane says Stephen Bartlett's team does a ton of research. They're looking for those emotional triggers, those moments that make people react, whether it's laughter, surprise, or even a little bit of controversy.
It's all about finding those hooks, right?
Yep. And they don't just rely on their gut. They're constantly A/B testing their thumbnails and headlines, analyzing the data to see what performs best.
Data is king. It's so empowering to know that we can use these strategies too.
Absolutely. You don't need a fancy agency to do this. You can A/B test your thumbnails on YouTube, experiment with different headlines, analyze your video performance.
It's all about those little tweaks and adjustments.
And speaking of adjustments, Kane also talks about the importance of looking outside your own echo chamber.
What does he mean by that?
Like, don't just watch your favorite YouTubers.
Yeah.
Analyze them. Compare their high-performing videos to their low-performing ones. See what's different.
Even if they're in totally different niches.
He actually recommends finding creators who are doing similar formats to yours. That way you can really see what's working and what's not.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Like a little competitive analysis.
Exactly. And Kane even suggests watching those videos side by side to really spot the nuances.
I like that. It's like getting a behind-the-scenes look at their success.
Right. And he says to pay attention to things like the placement of text overlays, the pacing of the cuts, even the way the creator uses their voice and body language.
All those little details add up.
They do. And you know what makes me think of Dr. Julie Smith again? The way she uses those visual metaphors is so effective.
It's like a visual shortcut to understanding.
Right. And Kane talks about other visual techniques too. Like he mentions Karen X. Chang, this creator who uses stunning visuals and special effects to explain technical concepts.
Ooh, I got to check her out. So she's kind of like blending education and entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. And her videos are proof that you don't have to stick to that boring talking head format.
I love that, speaking of different formats, Kane also highlights the man on the street style, like what Alex STM does.
Oh, yeah, those are fun. It's all about capturing those authentic reactions.
Like those moments of surprise or delight.
Exactly. It makes viewers feel like they're part of the experience.
And those genuine reactions are so important. You can't fake
Like
that.
Toop, it's all about creating a comfortable environment where people feel like they can be themselves.
Okay, so it seems like this whole idea of perspective shift is a common thread in all these successful formats.
You're right. Whether it's challenging assumptions, reframing perspectives, or presenting information in a new way, those aha moments are key.
It's like those light bulb moments that make us go, oh, wow, I never thought of it that way before.
And when you can create those moments for your viewers, they're more likely to share your content, to talk about it with their friends, to become fans.
That makes sense. But now I'm curious about something. What about those of us who work with clients who require NDAs?
Yeah, that can be tricky.
Like, how do you showcase your expertise when you can't reveal the details of your work?
That's a great question. And luckily, Kane has some answers. Let's take a quick pause and then we'll dive into his strategies for navigating those NDA challenges.
All right, so let's untangle this whole NDA thing.
Yeah.
How do you showcase your work when you can't really talk about it?
Right. It's a common problem. But Kane has some surprisingly simple solutions. Like he says, just ask your clients if they'd be willing to give you a testimonial.
Oh, yeah. Just ask.
Mm.
Sometimes we overcomplicate things.
Exactly. And even if they can't go into specifics about the project, they might be open to talking about their overall experience of working with you.
Okay, so it's about finding those little nuggets of information that you can share without breaking any agreements.
Right. And Kane actually shares a story about how he built relationships with some high-end fashion brands. These brands are super secretive, notoriously so.
I bet.
But he found that by really getting to know the people he was working with, he could often get them to open up a bit more.
So it's about building those personal connections.
Exactly. And sometimes, those NDAs can actually work in your favor.
Really? How so?
Well, the fact that you work with top secret clients can add a bit of mystique to your brand.
Ooh, that's interesting. Like, it makes you seem even more exclusive.
Right. And it can spark curiosity. People might start wondering, what is it that they do that's so confidential?
That's so clever. Okay, so we've talked about understanding the algorithm, embracing the generalist principle, finding those irresistible hooks, focusing on repeatable formats, and navigating NDAs. But there's one more thing we need to talk about: consistency.
The dreaded C word?
I know it's tough. But Kane is really adamant about this. He says consistency is key when it comes to YouTube.
And he's right. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
We all heard that before, but it's hard to put into practice.
It is. But Kane has some good advice for staying motivated. Like he says, to regularly revisit your goals.
Why are you doing this? What do you want to achieve?
Exactly. Reconnecting with your purpose can re-energize you.
It's like a little pep talk for your soul.
And he also says to celebrate those wins no matter how small.
Oh, I like that. It's easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others and forget to acknowledge our own progress.
Right. And even those little milestones deserve to be celebrated. Like Kane says, his team gives out awards to clients who hit certain viewership goals.
That's so fun. It makes it more tangible.
Yeah. And remember, consistency doesn't have to mean posting every single day.
Yeah, it's about finding a rhythm that works for you and sticking to it.
Exactly. And sometimes those dips in motivation or even performance can actually be a sign that something else needs attention.
What do you mean?
Like it might be your landing page, your email sequence, some other aspect of your online presence that needs tweaking.
Ah, okay. So it's about looking at the bigger picture.
And when those dips happen, don't freak out. Use them as opportunities to learn and improve.
It's all part of that growth mindset, right?
Exactly. And at the end of the day, it really does come down to mindset.
It's about believing in yourself, in your vision.
And listener name, don't be afraid to dream big.
Kane tells this incredible story about Michelle Phan, this beauty influencer who started on YouTube and built $1 billion business.
It's proof that anything is possible if you're willing to put in the work.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. We've covered so much ground, from the algorithm to content creation to consistency to mindset. It feels like we've cracked the code of YouTube's success.
You have all the tools you need, listener name. Now go out there and create something amazing.
We can't wait to see what you achieve. That's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us.